The labeling theory was introduced by theorist Frank Tannenbaum in 1938. In summary, his theory implies that a major part in the making of a criminal is the process of identifying and labeling a person as such, dramatizing of evil, which means that an act that is seen as evil means that the person that made that evil act is an evil person. In other words, the person becomes the thing that he or she is being labeled as. Definitions of criminality are established by those in higher power through laws and interpretation of those laws from the police, courts, and correctional institutions. Deviance is therefore not a set of characteristics of individuals or groups, but a process of an interaction between those that are deviant and those that are non-deviant, and the context in which criminality is interpreted. Frank viewed the labeling theory of a person as being criminal as a self-fulfilling prophecy, which means that those who break the law, rather than deterring them from future criminal behavior, their future is now seen as a criminal lifestyle. Labeling theory is defined into existence rather than discovered, which means that crime has no independent reality. Examples of labeling people is when poverty, being poor or living in poverty, always equals crime. Or teenagers are labeled as immature and troublemakers. Someone who is labeled as a criminal might not be thought as respecting the law. Edwin Lemert brought the concept of primary and secondary deviance. Primary deviance is the initial non-conforming act of deviance. It's any kind of behavior that goes away from social norms, and it doesn't result in any long-term consequences. Secondary deviance results from society's reaction to the offender's primary deviance, rather than the behavior itself. A person's self-concept changes due to the label that society gives that person. But how we respond to the behavior determines whether someone or something is deviant. The stigma of the criminal label may result in becoming more criminal than they would have been if they had not been caught. However, it depends on the person. Some may feel shame and others may feel prideful. An example of primary-secondary deviance is, imagine these two scenarios. Two girls both go into a clothing store. They both steal an item. However, one of them gets caught by the security guard. She then gets arrested, goes down to the station where they call her parents. So now her parents know. The second deviant is getting caught. And it's when people start making something out of her behavior. It's possible that now she'll be labeled and develop a stigma because of her behavior. However, the second girl who didn't get caught, even though the behavior is the same, she won't be labeled because her action went unnoticed. The consequences are not because of the act, but because someone found out about the behavior and labeled her. Some implications of this theory is how it complicates the life of those that are being labeled. Because they're being labeled, they have a stigma around them, and now they think that they need to behave as the stigma tells them to. Also, low-income neighborhoods maintain values and attitudes that go hand in hand and accompany to criminal behavior. The learning theory advises that such delinquents should be treated rather than punished, even though sometimes it's necessary to punish on many occasions. Some critiques of the labeling theory is that it ignores the factors such as the differences in socialization, attitudes, and opportunities that can lead to deviant acts. They also say that it's not certain whether labeling increases deviance. Ex-cons might end up back in prison because they have formed connections to other offenders. These ties raise the chances that they'll be exposed to additional opportunities to commit crimes. All in all, both labeling and increased contact with criminal population contribute to recidivism. However, some solutions to this could be learning crime and delinquency within a culture is the problem. So changing relative aspects of that culture could solve that solution. In addition, diversion programs should be offered to everyone except serious offenders, and that could be beneficial. They should also allow juvenile offenders to avoid formal sentencing by the court only if they complete requirements of the program, such as completing a counseling program, paying restitution, doing community service hours, which are determined by the juvenile probation officer rather than the judge. These programs can have a positive result in preventing recidivism. The information is referenced to the textbook Criminology: The Essentials, 3rd edition, by Anthony Walsh and Cody Jorgensen. Credits go to Dr. Velasquez, and this video was made within the context of Crim 3030 Section 4, and today's date is October 23rd, 2019. Thank you.